How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lo4f, and today I'm going to go and do the contract called Bridging the Gap. I mostly got this done yesterday. I ran out of time really for the editing. Yeah, I just knew it'd be a rough edit, and I just wasn't really happy with it. But anyway, yeah, Bridging the Gap. So I've got to come over here and get the saddle low trailer, but it's a pain in the arse of one, to be honest, and drag it all the way around to this side of the map, to that bridge, which is the first section. The trailer's got like an unpacked Cat 770G on it, so it's kind of like its own custom trailer. And then for the second part of the mission, I need four lots of cement, which there is actually at that warehouse already. But I also need 3 metal beams, but this warehouse only has 2. But it does have the ability to craft metal beams, but that would obviously include needing a generator trailer. So my big brain idea, which I'll break it to you now, it doesn't work. I used the generator trailer to build that drawbridge. So I thought, oh, maybe I could poach that generator trailer, be sneaky about it, and that kind of solves that problem. So yeah, that was the first thing. By the way, I also did this mission underestimating, like, this is a fairly difficult long mission really. Yeah, I took the W990 thing, and yeah, I'd say mostly in the W990's defence, this trailer in particular is a bit of a troll. So it didn't really go too smoothly with the W990. In the end, I mean, in theory, I could have got it off that kind of roadblock I was stuck on. By the time I was there and all the rest of it, I just knew the footage was going to be pretty slow, and yeah, I kind of figured out, like, oh, this video is not going to be like a 30-minute video or something for the mission. And the fact that, yeah, I made a few, well, like, I ended up basically restarting the whole contract, which is why, like, I've sort of got rid of all the W990 footage. And then, yeah, so attempt number 2, I decided to go with Dan, and obviously got a goddamn horse of meat on the roof, just in case. You never know. Well, he came in handy already for the W990, so, I mean, yeah, I'm going to find a reason to take a loaf of me. This is one of those ones on Dan where you have to load the loaf on a bit of an angle, but it still works. There is actually a little bit of logic to it though. Once you've got the trailer, there's obviously like a fair amount of weight you're dragging from the rear of the truck. But the trailer sits really low and gets caught quite a lot. And when I was bringing the W990, which doesn't have all-wheel drive, so it kind of wouldn't have mattered in that sense, but there was a fair few times where I noticed that the front of the W990 was kind of hovering in the air. And, you know, in theory, you pop a little weight loaf on the top, and he weighs the front end down, and then you're good to go. You get more grip. So yeah, that was my plan. It's obviously a little bit nose heavy at the minute while I'm driving to the trailer, but that's a pretty simple drive there. And then yeah, it will actually objectively come in handy kind of when I'm dragging the trailer backwards. And yeah, like you say, I thought, oh, this mission really won't be that bad or that long or anything like that. Just thought, yeah, kind of nipping through here. I mean, to get to the trailer was a matter of minutes, and then coming back, I mean, again, the trailer's a big troll. I also did kind of add a few steps to my contract, which I've mostly edited out, you'll sort of see, but assuming that I'll be able to get that generator trailer, which was not the case, so then I had to go back to the trailer store twice, which is a little bit of a trek in its own right. So there's certainly yeah, ways I could have done this a little bit quicker, now I know. And then yeah, when I was doing the editing yesterday, I just got to the point where I still had about probably a few hours worth of footage. Oh no, probably like a couple of hours worth of footage. I knew there was some chunks I had to delete out, but I knew I was going to end up with like 80 minutes worth of footage sort of thing. And yeah, obviously I can't do a video that long anyway. It's that bit, like, if you get footage and you just already know what bits of footage you want, and it's not really an issue with like the length of the video or anything, the editing can be fairly quick. But especially when you're trying to shave off like little bits here and there, you then have to like watch it back in sort of real time and then think, oh, I'll just nip a few seconds here and there, and yeah, it takes bloody ages. So I've spent most of tonight just trying to edit this thing. Got it down to 43 minutes. I was aiming for 40, but the amount I managed to take out, but yeah, like I say, it was just too long. That's what she said. Yeah, so we got to this warehouse thing in the top right corner of the map on yeah, Pipeline Bay. And this is the trailer. God knows why they parked it in this awkward corner. But yeah, I can't remember the name of the trailer. It's just an awkward pain in the arse trailer. That the reason I can't remember the name is because I practically never use it, because the very few times that the game forces you to use it. The first one I remember, I believe, was... Oh no, well I've used this... I used it once. I think it made my wood go fly in the air. It sounds like something she said. And then... What mission was it? It was on Flooded Foothills. I think there was, yeah, one of these with like an unpacked or whatever, dismantled 770G. I ended up getting it stuck in a ditch on Flooded Foothills, and it should still be there to this day, unless someone stole it. And then yeah, so I already know I don't like this trailer, and yeah, this mission kind of helped remind me why. So one of the issues with the trailer is after the like the gooseneck bit. Oh yeah, that's probably gooseneck semi-trailer maybe. But where the trailer gets to like the lowest point, it's also got rails on it, and that gets caught bloody everywhere, and that's the main issue with this trailer that makes it a troll. But the fact that it's a saddle low trailer means you can't counter it by, for example, like you could bring something like the Azov Antarctic. Just the fact that it's got a ridiculously tall chassis would help kind of prop the front of this trailer up in the air, at which point it wouldn't be too bad, or it'd certainly help. But yeah, because it's saddle low, obviously everything that's got a really tall chassis just doesn't allow you to have the saddle low. I knew Dan isn't probably not the tallest, but he can't be far off, again, that you can have saddle low. It's also got the suspension that you can raise up, so yeah, after doing it with the W990, I very quickly learned that that was kind of out of its depth really. I actually managed to get all the way back through this, but there was a hell of a lot of winching and all the rest of it. I had to send the loaf in at some point, because I did actually, let's see, just, you learn to take a loaf here. I did actually send the W990 on its own, because I was going to do this first little bit of the trip without a loaf, because I was giving the W990 a fair chance of like seeing how it would travel from the garage to where I'm getting the trailer. But yeah, it just wasn't very good. And again, I'm not ruling out that truck or whatever, it just really wasn't a good mission for it. Even like Dan's a very solid truck, and you can see here just crawling along at a few miles an hour, even at the best of times really. But yeah, the low bit behind the gooseneck, once that digs into the ground, it just kind of locks you in place. And as you can see, I'm spinning all the wheels, so power wise there's enough there to keep them spinning, but there just isn't enough grip. And in a few cases this might be quite a good example. Even when you got like the winch going as well, full power, it's, yeah, the trailer's just stuck. I think, yeah, now you can sort of see I've done a winch from the rear of the trailer to that tree, and it's kind of rotating me round. Like really, that should be pushing my Dan forward more, but I'm stuck on something. It's like the trailer's hooked, so now I'm winching over to something on the left, and eventually it like kind of breaks loose from whatever it's hooked on. About now, and then yeah, I can start moving forward. So, like I say, the back end of the trailer, if you could prop the front up enough to where you were kind of just wheeling it along, you know, yeah, like there's only really the back end of the trailer touching the ground, it'd be a lot easier. And then, yeah, I mean, overall with this video, I don't normally like to edit bits out where, of like the journey, so to speak. I don't really mind if I'm doubling back on myself, whatever. But I do end up cutting a few bits of this out, because leaving it just kind of raw footage, yeah, it was about, even cutting some other bits out, it was like about 55 minutes long, which is just, yeah, longer than I was wanting. Again, that's what she said. Yeah, and just the fact that basically going from where I've just grabbed the trailer, say, back to the garage, at which point you're kind of back on highway roads. Yeah, the amount of times I just end up getting stuck, firing a winch out, dragging slowly forwards, etc, etc. I managed to save probably a good 10 minutes out of the this video just purely on, like, I'm not even skipping the footage that far ahead at all, probably a truck length or two here and there, but yeah, for the most part it was just this, like, very slow crawling all the way back, which soon loses its appeal. Well, it's not that it inherently loses its appeal like that. I don't mind driving this slow, but it's when it feels like you're getting overly sort of punished, where it's the truck you've taken, sort of you wouldn't expect it to struggle as much as it does. But like I say, Dan wasn't like, he was doing his best. It's just, yeah, this trailer is, it is what it is. The way this game is why I don't like the 8-slot trailer, for example, because the trailer legs on it just dig into everything, and yeah, it more becomes like, it doesn't really matter how much power you've got in the vehicle. Once stuff starts hooking into the terrain, it's now a case where, yeah, even like with full power winch and all the rest of it, you kind of, it gets a little bit iffy. That hill was a pain in the arse as well in the W990. That's when the front of the W990 was sticking up quite a lot, and yeah, I just had no Lo4f for that one. That's why this Lo4f is painted blue, because he matched the W990. In theory, you can actually, and I've tried it before so I know this, even though I've rarely ever used the trailer, you can actually sit like a Lo4f on that gooseneck of the trailer, and his little wheels sit over the sides. So he's quite planted on there, even though you can't pack him. And then yeah, this last little section, I mean, you can see with that mud, even when the trailer's not catching, it's just a bit of a slow-ass drive. To be fair, the dam's quite good in the sense of, even though you're obviously sitting on the revs and not gaining a lot of distance for how much you rev in the truck, it doesn't nail through its fuel like an insane amount. The Dolphin, for example, there'd be sections where it'd be quicker doing that run back, but once you're in the boggy sections, yeah, that thing is going to be going up to like a good 25 litres a minute or something, and it's only got a 200 litre fuel tank. But it'd still make it there and back. I'd be willing to bet that, and I'd take a Lo4f for me. It's goddamn professional. So I'd at least get back to the garage, at which point I can spawn vehicles and refuel myself and do whatever. Yeah, that's step one out of the way. At which point I've probably spent, I don't know, about an hour and a half previously just getting the W990 like to do this first leg of the journey. Then I carried on with it because for now there's like quite a lot of main road. What I forgot though was that there's like a roadblock, like a landslide, and that's what caught me out really. I just, for whatever reason, it's twice now I've done it. I just like keep forgetting it's there. I was like, don't acknowledge that it exists, and then I get there with the vehicle, I'm like, oh yeah, shit. It most definitely does exist, and it's a bit of an awkward landslide to climb over. I don't know if they've done that on purpose or whatever. Some of it in the last few phases of, like, even though they've had a landslide, it's possible with some of the better trucks in the game to climb over it, and I personally like that because, yeah, I think that's what you kind of gain from some of the better vehicles in the game. But it also makes it just a bit interesting because in some cases I've then left the landslide there for quite a while because it's quite fun just as a bit of a self-inflicted challenge to try and climb over the various landslides. Yeah, this one's very, you can tell the hitboxes of the rocks are like very awkward and it catches, and this trailer obviously it's managed to catch itself in boggy mud, so it was never really going to fare too well trying to climb over a roadblock. I would say even with the W990 it was the same. A different trailer and they both would have got over there easier. It probably was about 90% on the trailer in this case, but yeah, at some point I do need to get that roadblock undone really. There is a way around it which I will use later in this video as well, but just in the scheme of things, yeah. Well, I don't know, the thing is, once you get, if you got the roadblock done, after that there's quite a lot of swampy section. Just throwing it out there quickly while I'm driving past, this truck here has got 4 lots of cement on the back, and if you actually, it's only a mission, it's not a contract, but if you look at it, you've got to deliver that truck to the same warehouse where I just collected this trailer from, and after that I'm assuming the truck's just done and you could probably take the cargo. So in theory, and the only reason why I don't want to kind of say this for a definite because I haven't actually tried it myself, but you need 4 lots of cement for this mission as well, and this warehouse I'm going to go to a little bit later in the video, but I'm just about to drive past where I get the 4 cement from. Yeah, in theory you might be able to I don't know, well, I doubt it'll let you poach this cement, but then I wonder if you could poach the cement off that trailer, deliver them on this mission, and then reset that, or deliver them on this contract and then reset that truck mission. In theory it should reset the trailer with 4 cement, so that might be a possible option there to get some free cement. I might actually try that, because I can try it anyway. Like, I'll just tip the trailer, nick the cement, I don't know, pack it onto my own trailer. I'll have to see, because then it might, maybe if you reset the mission, they might have done it where, like, it'll steal the cement off your trailer or whatever, I don't know. But obviously, if in theory, if you did steal the cement and cash them into this mission, once they're cashed in, like, it can't really uncash them. So, yeah, you might be able to get away with that. In the long run, I believe you'll be able to take a generator trailer to that warehouse anyway, where you get the cement from, and then just craft cement. And it appears it's only going to cost you like fuel in the generator, which I like it when it's like that. I don't like it when, maybe the cabin's being an exception, because fair enough, you get like a container and some wood or whatever. But yeah, generally speaking, I'd rather just spend the fuel. I don't really, I bit my tongue then. One of the words I pronounced sounded a bit weird, that's why. So yeah, you can see climbing up this roadblock is pretty iffy anyway. Thankfully there is trees on the other side that you can just about reach. I couldn't quite get them at first, which is why I had to kind of drive Dan a little bit further up there, but he got up there. That's what she said. Yeah, and I was able to fire a winch out, at which point you start kind of crawling over. Again, getting Dan over itself's not too bad. You can see to the left of my rear axles, that's where the hitbox is iffy. That's kind of what it's catching on now as well. And then yeah, with a bit of jiggling around though, you eventually can reach another tree as a winch point, and then if I get a little bit further forward, I think when I get my rear axles kind of over the middle, there's another tree a little bit more directly, like on the left hand side of the road, but a little bit more centred. I can also reach. Oh yeah, you can see at the minute the trailer starts wiggling around, going a bit mad. It didn't do that to me at all with the W990, which I got to about here. And I quickly learned, to be honest, it was the same case with Dan. Like, it's, yeah, mostly down to the trailer. So it's like, right, time to send the goddamn professional in. And I mean, yeah, he can climb over roadblocks. He's been trained for these situations. But he knew what he needed to do. First of all, I mean, again, the goddamn horsepower of him. Consider I'm in sloppy, boggy mud. It would probably only let me drive about that fast anyway. Yeah, so I moved the trailer over, which I was able to then get a bit further forward with Dan, which now lifted the back of the trailer a bit, but it was still hooked on the rocks. But at this point, didn't even need a boulder load for this one. Send them in, stick a winch to the Dolphin. So at this point, the game has no choice. The loaf is going to retract. He's going to make, not the Dolphin, sorry, Dan. He's going to make his way towards Dan. Slip his way under the trailer, which now lifts like the middle awkward section of this trailer up and over, because the trailer itself has basically just got an awkward hitbox. They could do with redesigning it really, because I'm willing to bet those stupid little thin rails on the trailer wouldn't actually dig into boggy mud and stop an entire truck with its winch to a tree and all the rest of it. But yeah, as you can tell, there is actually a little narrow path to the left, oh no, sorry, to the right, with like the way I was approaching this roadblock. But I really think the trailer wouldn't like it. Looks like a very awkward, kind of tight, narrow. Yeah, maybe if you, that's what she said. Maybe if you were taking like a smaller vehicle on its own. But yeah, with this trailer particularly, I don't think it would have benefited me much. And then as well, where that cement factory is, there's a turning to the left just before you get to there. That's also kind of a way around this roadblock, but it's sort of headed up in the mountains. It's a little bit of a more awkward drive, but certainly, yeah, being as that roadblock is a bit of a twat, it's an option. I actually, again, use it a little bit later on in the Dolphin. And then again, a bit of editing and jumping forward, because it's just slowly crawling through the swampy crap. And as I said, it's not even really... The reason I don't really mind cutting the footage out, because it's not really a good representation of how Dan drives on this map and like what its limitations are and all the rest of it. It's just that the trailer is extra trollish, so obviously in this situation you have to take the trailer because it's part of the mission. But yeah, average it out. Like, I just never pick this trailer. It's even more useless. Like, if it was any good, you can in theory use it over like the ramp flatbed. They're both 4 slots, although I suppose this one is going to make you have to have a saddle low, so that will cost me like the sideboard, which can hold 2 cargo or a loaf. But yeah, it's just I never use the trailer. There's probably some very, I don't know, it's not even a wide trailer. If it's that wide enough so it was easy to load vehicles on, I mean obviously in this case they've it's got a Cat 770G on, but it's got its wheels off. But I can already tell just from the narrowness of this trailer, yeah, most vehicles won't get on it. Scouts would, well, the goddamn horse, he'll make it, but yeah, any actual trucks just won't fit on it. Well, their wheels will sit over the side, so then you can't pack the vehicle. At which point, yeah, it's just going to slowly like slip off, and its wheels will start catching the ground and all sorts. I mean, it's good in theory. There's maybe a few maps with like pure highway runs where you could use this, but yeah, certainly for this kind of like swampy section. And I think in the scheme of things, if I'd actually gone on the other route, which I'll use a little bit later with the Dolphin, where you turn left just before the cement factory, yeah, I think this little kind of bit of the journey would have gone quicker, because obviously I edited a chunk out of me climbing over the roadblock as well. But then that's what I mean, after the roadblock there's all this swampy section, which isn't difficult per se, but it's just slow. So I actually think the alternate route might well become my my new choice. Like I say, for some reason I've discovered that roadblock the first night I explored this map, but for whatever reason I just keep completely forgetting it's there. So once you've got like this sort of momentum, that's even in the auto gears. In that sense, like, yeah, Dan was ticking along very nicely. It's just when you go over the brow of any hill, that's all it takes, and then the trailer digs in. That's probably one of the rare exceptions. I think I just ran out of juice in high gear then. But then, yeah, now the trailer gets beached again. So just firing winches out to either, like, option 1 is to fire a winch out to someone in front of you. If that isn't possible, plan B is, like, if you've got something to the side of you, you can stick a winch from like the back of the trailer to the object and kind of winch yourself forward a little bit that way. Cutting through here, I could have just gone round to the right really, but for some reason I wanted to thread this gap. I kind of knew at the last second as well when I started swerving. The Cat 770G obviously sits a lot wider than the actual trailer, so I kind of knew at the last second it was going to get caught on that excavator digger bucket thing, but yeah, too late. And yeah, nice little bit of highway for the last few percent of the journey. And this is the bridge we'll be fixing, which just goes to a little island. Oh yeah, just throw it out. When you drive, like, the trailer makes contact with the square, it just deletes it off like your list in the top right, but it doesn't really say stage 1 complete. It doesn't really give you any indication that much is going on. So I'm going to have to now go down to the trailer store to get a ramped flatbed so I can move the cement and the metal beams. Instead of going like the long way round, I found a little track, which I didn't actually know existed at the time. I kind of was just assuming it does. And I was right to assume, because it is actually a pretty handy little track. And then, yeah, like I say, I was going to grab the cement, deliver that, and then thinking, right, I can rob the generator and take that down to the metal beam factory. And, yeah, solve the issue that way. So, for the second part of the journey, I jumped into Lo4f. Not Lo4f. The Dolphin. Got Lo4f on the brain. And then yeah, this was the little track. You can see as I didn't even realise there was like a barrier around the edge of the road that kind of blocks you a bit from swerving off the road. Yeah, it doesn't look like much of a track, and it isn't really, but it's fairly easy to drive. Certainly easier than the time I just had in the Dan going through those swampy sections of that bloody trailer. Got a bit of high gear for the Dolphin. Didn't like the brow of that hill though. There's a few sections that are a little bit slow along here, nothing special. It appears here as well you could go left and run along like that grassy edge of the island, but there is also tracks running around this way. Gets a little bit boggy around here, but not for very long, and the Dolphin is a bit of a beast. That's why I like this. It's like the original pair, really. Dolphin and Lo4f. Well, technically, I think I was still driving the Navistar every now and then when I first discovered the magic of the Lo4f. But I believe I very quickly started moving on to the Dolphin. One, because I bought it, reviewed it, and it was an incredibly nice truck. And secondly, just it made more sense, had more room for a Lo4f and a crane and all the rest of it. The Navistar is very good though. I don't regret having that as like my first truck, really, in the game. And I kind of went all in on it as well, because even like the engine was 24 grand, which wouldn't be too hard to earn these days. Back when the game first came out, kind of pre, you know, any DLCs or anything like that, yeah, earning money at the beginning of the game was quite difficult, really. Again, even in hindsight, now I'd know there's a few not contracts, the contests where you could like farm a bit of money and all the rest of it, but yeah, back when it first started there wasn't really any ways to seriously cash in. You just had to kind of slowly tick away at the missions, which as well, say at the time, had like a stock Navistar, so even what would appear to be a very simple mission now, yeah, could end up taking them quite a while back then. Yeah, when you get to that bridge, by the way, I used this like little shortcut. I didn't even realise I originally drew like the dots going under that bridge, but it's, yeah, I don't even think the Dolphin could fit under that bridge, and the track running after that bridge isn't really very convenient anyway. So you may as well do like a little loop around. It's kind of ramped, sort of set up that way that it makes sense to, yeah, kind of then connect with the road where the bridge was and all the rest of it. You can see the waypoint thing to the left. That's in theory where it would have popped out, but the track looks like it's stuck in the V of a valley where it, yeah, I think you'll spend more time either almost tipping or scraping along your side and all the rest of it. I don't think it's worth it. Yeah, you can be a bit violent on that run as well, because there is a service area when you get there, so any damage on your truck get fixed. So I grabbed a ramp flatbed, and just to make clear, well, you've got options, but I'm grabbing the ramped flatbed at the minute, which means I can go and get the cement, etc. But that generator trailer I'm hoping to poach will not work, so I need to go and get my own generator trailer. And obviously I've just been to the trailer store right now. What I would probably recommend would be to spawn a generator trailer and a ramped flatbed and just tow both of them. Yeah, basically tow both of them back, because at this point I obviously realise later on in the video that I can't nick that generator trailer, so I just have to do another run back to the trailer store, which I end up doing in a Voron AE. I've edited the vast majority of that run out because I'm basically doubling back on myself, and yeah, the video was pretty damn long as it is anyway. So yeah, that's a mistake that I don't know I'm making. To be honest, I was basically just putting all my money on like, yeah, I'll be able to nick that generator trailer, and I never really gave it a thought after that until I went and got it, and it was like, son of a bitch, it won't work. Again, yeah, just a quick little edit ahead, nothing too crazy. I just went from the garage, just drove past that truck again that's got the 4 cement. It's one thing I like with the Dolphin though, it's got a nice pace. It's just the right pace where you get a little bit of drifting on the go, but it's just under the speed limit where it goes completely mad in this game, and it's just like driving on black ice. Yeah, you can see the road going off to the left there. That's the road I'm going to use, because if I went further along this highway, just up ahead is that rock slide that I just had to climb over with Dan. Time that nicely. If you fly in and slam it into reverse just as you're on full lock, the Dolphin gets a nice little drift, and you can normally make a bit of a tighter corner than you'd otherwise be able to with its turning circle. Yeah, so 4 lots of cement. Like I say, thankfully for at least this part of the mission, the warehouse already has 4 lots of cement, because like I say, the metal warehouse has 2 lots of metal beams, and you need 3, which that one little discretion made this mission a lot longer than it otherwise could have been. yeah, this is a little shortcut. So I need not like on screen, off screen to the right is basically down that hill to the right is where that roadblock is that I climbed over with Dan. This is the quote-unquote shortcut. It's definitely the longer way to go, but you can see in the scheme of things, at least you're going up the mountain, so for the most part it's like pretty dry dirt tracks. It's not really like too swampy and crazy. It's not like it too much climbing up this bit though. I think though, I don't know if it's just me, but I'm sure they've done some kind of, again, nerf with the I think it's like the torque. Everything feels like it's really asthmatic, low down in the ranges. Like when you're trying to just get out of first gear and that, it, yeah, feels like everything's taken a little good old while to wind up and actually apply any kind of decent power. Swampy section there, trying to cut over to the left. Well, it worked, but luckily I had the Dolphin, because I reckon a few other vehicles probably would have tipped at that point. And there's a lot, yeah, this map's got like a lot of rocky little things and all the rest of it, and the game really doesn't line up, I think, as far as grip goes. And on those rocky sections, they behave near enough like ice blocks, would probably, you know, like the chunks of ice that come out of the frozen lakes and whatnot in this game. It behaves more like that. There just really isn't any grip on them. I've said it before, and I do stand by it. I think the chains do bite up and over and along those little rocky bits better than any other tyre, so I suppose at some point I might actually stick some chain tyres on a couple of vehicles and see how they fare. But yeah, for the most part you can see like this shortcut is a few like hilly sections are a little bit slow to drive up, but other than that, yeah, mostly just dry winding dirt roads. Again, off to the right somewhere is where that roadblock was that I'm kind of cutting around. And there is also an option at some point. I could have just veered off to the right through the trees and gone back down the slope, and I would have actually popped out just after the roadblock. But the reason I didn't was there's no point, because just after the roadblock is all the swampy stuff. I still think you pop out like not completely where you want to go, so you've still got a little bit of swampiness to drive through, but yeah, the main thing is, like I say, it gets rid of that roadblock, which is actually pretty awkward at the minute. All things considered though, still pretty happy with the Dolphin. It's still a very solid vehicle in this game, I reckon. I've used it a couple of times already. This is definitely one of those maps, I would say, overall. I don't think we're going to be cracking like many of the highway vehicles out, for example. There might be the odd little mission, but yeah, in the scheme of things, the actual, like, digging into this actual map and all the contracts, all kind of like the pretty significant contracts and all the rest of it. Yeah, I think it's going to be one of them where I'm just going for more the top end vehicles in the game. At some point I want to get a Taiga just out and about, see how that kind of handles this map. Should be fine, obviously, it's a nice truck. But yeah, Dolphin, the Zik 605R, the Vorons, they've been fine. Yeah, Dan was good. So, drop them 4 off. And up to now, I was thinking, yep, things are going pretty well. That is, say, 2/3 of the mission done. Just got to go and get 3 metal beams and we're good to go. There's a little glitch there, not on edit. I've been having to delete loads of stuff off my PlayStation because it just seems to fill up with memory so quick. It keeps popping up saying like, I don't know, you haven't got like 200 and something megabytes free to. I don't know. To be honest, I don't really read the rest of the message. I just know when it pops up, it's moaning at me about something. But yeah, it's a pain in the arse. My phone's a pain in the arse because that's full of memory. Well, PlayStation's trying to do the same thing. Bit of fuel on the way past. Quite a handy location, that fuel station. And then yeah, you can see the drawbridge up ahead and the generator. And like, this is how confident I was. I was like, yep, I'll skid up to it, fire a winch out to the back of the trailer, reverse and drag it down, and then I was going to winch it to the back of the ramp flatbed. was like, oh, hang on a minute. And then, yeah, I was like, oh no, there's no winch points. I drove round to the front of the trailer. It's just like a dead item on the map now. I mean, it's there as, like, scenery. But, yeah, you can't winch to it. I didn't specifically try, but I'm pretty damn certain in saying you can't attach it as a trailer anymore. Yeah, it just, obviously, you cash it in to operate that drawbridge, and then it just leaves it there as part of the map. So at this point, I'm driving from where the generator was, the rest of this journey just to this factory in the bottom left-hand corner, really, near enough like the opposite end to where I got that gooseneck semi-trailer thing with the disassembled 770G on it. A little bit of a tight corner here. I went for it though, clipped the edge of the wall a little bit, but just about made it around. And yeah, I mean, at this point, obviously I'm still driving there, but I could only get 2 metal beams, and I need 3, so driving there was kind of, I don't know, a bit of an empty feeling, because it wasn't really achieving much. But that said, I'm also going to need it here at some point, but I'm going to have to go and get a generator trailer. My little plan didn't work. So yeah, that's where you can get 2 beams from. And yeah, it's a little crafting zone there. I went there as well because I could look and just double check. It's only going to cost me fuel to craft metal beams, and I just wanted to check, you know, like get there, and then it goes, oh yeah, you need God knows what. You know what the game's like. Yeah, so back to the trailer store in this Voron AE, and as you can see this time I brought a ramped flatbed and this generator trailer, and then I ended up leaving the ramped flatbed outside my garage, so it may come in handy for future use. You can obviously, up to you whether you do that or not. In theory you could have done what I just did effectively with those trailers, but when I went with the Dolphin I could have just winched this generator trailer behind me as well, and kind of 2 birds with 1 stone, so to speak. But like I said, I wanted to go and see if I could borrow that generator trailer. It was not to be. This is the little route back up from like the generator to the mountain road again. I suppose I could have deleted this out really. It's pretty precise on that corner. I didn't actually hit the barrier then. It was just the steering having to perfectly line up with like the arc of that barrier. Yeah, I suppose I could have cut this out. I just kind of felt a little bit bad for the Voron AE. It put in a little bit of work on this video, and yeah, I cut most of it out because it was just doubling back on myself, going back to the trailer store again, etc., going along that same road that I drove the Dan down and the Dolphin now. So didn't really need triple the footage, but yeah, since, well, it's alright, doing its thing. You can see there, like, these little boggy sections have clearly been dialed up, like super mud at least. And yeah, feels a little bit unnatural, like the amount with which it suddenly restricts you. Like, this is a very solid vehicle in this game. The only reason I don't use it that much in the scheme of things is its turning circles pretty slow. So if I just had a choice between this and the Taiga, I'd rather the Taiga. I also, out the Vorons, this is probably objectively the best Voron, but I like the Grad. I'm flying in here, slam it in reverse. Nice big fat skid into there, and I was just going to detach the trailer, but then I thought I may as well just leave the Voron AE there, because in future it's obviously going to say, oh, you need to turn the generator on. What I did was craft, I believe, 10 metal beams and 20 metal rolls with 1500 litres of fuel that was in the generator. Just crafted them, so, you know, next week I might have to come in and get some metal beams. I've already crafted them, instead of it saying again to you each time, like, oh, you need to turn the generator on. This is how you get a loaf onto the trailer, by the way. Drive them up the back, stick a winch from the back of the loaf to the Dolphin, so then that kind of pulls your back end down, which lifts your front end up. He jumps up, and stick a winch to the Dolphin, get him up on to the metal beams, and then at this point I could either pack him on the metal beams, or I ended up disconnecting the trailer, reversing the Dolphin up just so the gap was a little bit narrower to jump over, drive him up onto them. Victory horn. Goddamn professional. Yeah, got him packed on, got the trailer attached, ramp back up, 3 metal beams. I didn't even bother taking the 2 out of like the garage at this point. I just, yeah, like I say, crafted 10 of them, which I believe cost me 1,000 Was it 1,000 or 500? I can't remember, but I believe I crafted 7. Sorry, what am I talking about? 10 metal beams, and then yeah, I think it was 20 metal rolls. But I think it gives you 2 per time, so I was kind of doing 10 of each. But yeah, as I said, it's just in the scheme of things, it makes sense. Whenever you take a generator trailer anyway, you may as well just spend all the fuel within reason. Well, in these phases, it's pretty cheap. Used to back in the day, I'm sure it was on like, was it the phase 3 maps and maybe them sort of time. Stuff just used to cost more. I'm sure it used to be like 250 fuel per metal beams or something. Now it's like 100 or whatever. And on some of the recent phases, it's been like, you know, 50 fuel for crafting some wood or whatever it was. Just pretty cheap, so you could actually craft, yeah, quite a lot of stuff. Whereas back in the day, yeah, it was phase 3. It was that first Wisconsin map. When you just come out of the garage, if you go, well, right as you're sort of looking at the map, but if you're actually driving out of the garage, you go left. Yeah, you had to take a generator trailer just down the road really, but it was crossing a really bloody awkward river crossing that was a pain in the arse. And yeah, I just remember, yeah, I had to keep going back and refueling that because just the amount it cost, like per thing you were crafting, was pretty damn expensive. Which in and of itself is like an inevitability. Like you can take, you know, a semi-fuel trailer and whatnot. You can spawn as much fuel as you like, really. So in and of itself, it's only time and effort to keep taking fuel to them. To be honest, it wouldn't bother me if materials cost more in fuel. It's having to have a separate vehicle there just to keep turning the bloody generator trailer on each time that's a pain in the arse. Because imagine if you've got like a scout there or something as well, and it says turn the generator trailer on, you can't attach the generator trailer to the scout, so you'd have to bring a truck literally just to turn the generator trailer on. And in some cases that could be like, yeah, the other side of the map and all sorts. So yeah, just drove the Dolphin back through the fuel station. I think I fueled the Lo4f as well. Yeah, that was bloody close with the trailer there. I went a bit wide, drifted, and I just had to power out of it, and I'm glad I did. That was very close to the trailer's unpacking, and if it did, I haven't got a crane with me at the minute or anything. You can put a crane on the Dolphin, obviously, but then it pushes the sideboard too far back and you can't have a trailer, so yeah, if those unpacked there would have been like another 10-15 minutes added on to the mission just to bring another truck from the garage with a crane, basically. So, but thankfully, yeah, if I'd slowed down, the trailer would have kind of caught me up and tipped over, but because I just floored it, it was too busy getting pulled forward by me to have time to tip over, really. Yeah, finally get that dropped off. At that point, it caches and takes that gooseneck trailer. Yeah, drop my metal beams off, 13,500 for the mission or whatever. I don't really mind, but yeah, it builds the bridge. There is an upgrade on this island as well. But yeah, anyway, that's about it for today. I hope you enjoyed. I hope that helps. Thanks for watching. Get yourself a loaf because he's a beast. Got me over that roadblock, and I'll be back soon.